What's up, everyone? This is Clock Management. I'm your host, Justin, and as always, I'm joined by Perry.
And Justin, you're hotter than the bottom of my laptop.
That's hot.
That's hot. That's hot. Like there's molten lava. The sun might be up here, and then lava, and then there's the bottom of my laptop. So
Yeah.
good for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good for you.
I'm proud of
Yeah.
that.
Well done to your wife.
I've told her many times she married up.
Oh my god. I've told her many times.
I'm lying. I have never said that to her.
It sounds like you. I don't know, man.
I like sleeping in my bed, so. All right.
All right.
So,
what are we doing?
well-
You called me.
Yeah, I just want to see what you're up to. We are giving away an autographed James Conner jersey. That's what we're doing, Perry. And for anyone out there who wants to enter into that giveaway, all you have to do is subscribe on YouTube and then leave a comment on this video or any video this month. Each video you comment on is an entry to win.
It's pretty easy, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to speak disparagingly about other podcasts or YouTubes, but oftentimes there's other steps involved in order to be part of the giveaway.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
trying to make it as easy as possible for you guys.
Yes, this is simple. Subscribe and comment. And the comment could be jersey now. That
It
counts. But you could also ask for fantasy advice.
Yeah.
And then you're getting fantasy advice out of it and a chance at a free signed jersey. Like,
That's accurate.
wow. And Justin's probably the one that's going to answer the question. And while I am in second place in the league, Justin is in first place in the league. So I'm just saying, guys.
Yeah, I'll see you in the championship, maybe.
Oh, I sure hope so. Because hopefully I'll have my top 3 picks back by then.
I mean, if I'm seeing you there, I kind of hope you don't. But anyway, today's episode is going to be a little bit different than what we've been doing. It's our first time doing this one, so we're kind of winging it a little bit. But I mean, obviously we're prepared, but it's, formatting wise a little bit, kind of crazy.
Yeah. I mean, as content creators, at least for me, sometimes you got to realize that things are getting a little stale. You got to mix things up a little bit, is kind of what I was thinking. And I thought we could kind of just format things a little bit different, not be so same thing each week. So we're still going to cover waiver pickups. We're still going to cover major injuries and news and that sort of thing. But
And
and starts of the week, that sort of stuff.
and
Right. And news nobody cares about.
there you go.
But I didn't think anybody would care. So, but this week or this episode, we're going to talk about the fantasy playoff schedule. Very, very important stuff. Justin just mentioned meeting me in the playoffs, right? It's already on our minds. This will be week 11. So, we're still a few weeks away from the fantasy playoffs, but it's important to start preparing now. And so we're going to talk about some guys you could probably target in trades. The trade deadline is coming up very, very quickly to improve your chances on winning in the playoffs.
Yeah. I've actually a bunch of people have been reaching out recently about that very thing to me. So, I love fielding questions, so keep them coming. I'm excited. We're going to be launching a website here at the end of this season, so we'll be throwing that up in the description of the videos once we have that up and going.
Yeah. Well, should we jump into the news?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Cool. I think the biggest piece of news is about Drew Brees, right?
Yeah.
This was pretty crazy. There was a pretty rough hit on Drew Brees. I think it was pretty much legal in my eyes. Was he flagged?
Yeah, he definitely was.
Oh, it's because he like drove him to the ground, right?
Well, they said it. His body weight landed on him, which it did not.
Yeah, man, I feel bad for the defense. Anyways, broken ribs on both sides for Drew Brees and a punctured lung. So that's pretty crazy. He's gonna miss at least 2 weeks. I'm guessing 3. Jameis Winston will be filling in. I really don't think this is a huge downgrade for the offense. I mean, if we're just going off of what we saw last year from Jameis Winston.
Well, I got some interesting stats. Just, I mean, very small sample size, right? Like, we only so once Winston came in, there was 25 plays with Winston under center, 6 plays with Taysom, but in those 25 plays, a total of, I believe, 14 of them went to the running back, 11 of them which were runs, and 3 of them were passes to the running back. And I mean, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but I think that they might want to rely more heavily on the running backs there than they have been, which, I mean, they already rely pretty heavily.
Yeah, I mean, Alvin Kamara is going to be getting plenty of work.
Oh, absolutely. But I think Latavius Murray might see an increase.
Possibly. Doesn't make me. I'm not worried about Alvin Kamara losing work, though. Are you going out and picking up Latavius, expecting him to be startable?
Yes.
Bold.
Yes, I know. But I think, like, when we say expecting to be startable, it's more hoping to be startable. And I'm going to pick him up with the hope that is the case, but, maybe not put him in this next week and see how that pans out.
Cool. Okay, moving on to the next piece of news. Christian McCaffrey, I know that there's a lot of news going around on he could play this week. He's definitely out. It's unlikely that he plays in week 11 versus the Lions. Matt Rule is being very positive about it, but I think this is a classic just coach speak situation. I do not expect Christian McCaffrey to play this week against the Lions. So you should expect him out. Expect Mike Davis in, although Mike Davis played pretty poorly last week with Christian McCaffrey out. And how are you feeling about Mike Davis?
I mean, we kind of alluded to this before about how Mike Davis hadn't been playing that well, but he had been finding the end zone, which kind of masked that bad play. So, I mean, I think that's just kind of what we should expect out of Mike Davis. Defense have started to figure him out a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, I think you still have to start him though, right?
Yeah, because obviously you're the Christian McCaffrey owner, or you might be in that situation, right. Hopefully. And then if you're missing Christian McCaffrey, you're definitely going to be putting Mike Davis in
there. Okay, moving on to the next piece here. Antonio Brown. I understand
you beat me to it.
Okay, I was going to say this is probably ended up in news nobody cares about. So let's just say that this is both. Okay. Antonio Brown, there was a security camera incident. He threw a bike. You might have more information on this than I do. At a security shack and destroyed the camera. And both the NFL and the Buccaneers were not aware of this when he was reinstated.
Yeah, so it happened a month ago in the neighborhood he lives in Miami, which, I mean, he gets in a lot of trouble in that neighborhood. But
he should move out of Miami.
Yeah, they dropped the charges because he agreed to pay for the camera.
It worries me a little bit, right? I think I was kind of excited about Antonio Brown, like, oh, things are going well for him. He's improved, like he's getting help. And then you're like, oh, he's throwing bikes. Like, okay.
He said he regretted throwing the bike, just for the record.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, we'll see how his rape case works out in January. I'm sure he regretted that too. I'm sorry. Lost some professionalism there. Anyways, did you see the Nick Foles injury last night?
I did, yeah. Right at the end of the game.
Yeah, so looks like it's going to be a leg/hip injury. It looked way worse.
Yeah, they said he avoided serious injury because, yeah, it looked bad.
It looked like his legs were twitching.
Yeah.
While he was laying on the ground, and I was like, oh my God, like this guy's paralyzed. So I think that's probably good news. Whatever this injury is now, if it's a leg hip thing, it's probably good news compared to what I thought it could have been. So he was carted off the field, kind of got thrown down awkwardly, very hard. So we're going to see. I don't expect him to play this week. I don't know if he'll play again this season. So their options, basically the Bears' options, are going to be Mitchell Trubisky or Tyler Bray, who was the third string quarterback that came in. I can't say a whole lot about Tyler Bray from what I saw. It was less than a minute of play for him. So, I think the big worry here is these wide receivers, right? We're trying to figure out what to do with these wide receivers. I think you're still starting Allen Robinson and just expecting maybe a slight downtick in production, or at least in quality of throws.
Yeah, I would say, the biggest concern, because only are you starting, would you have started Anthony Miller anyway?
I think there are some leagues where you would have considered him, like he's in that like Anthony Miller or Cole Beasley.
I'm going Cole Beasley for sure.
Right, but before, there was some consideration, right? And so I think that's just something that people need to pay attention to. My point is the only like guaranteed start on the team now at the wide receiver position is Allen Robinson.
And Mooney's still there, who I think I would rather start over Miller. So I think that's the one that I'm worried most about, though.
Right. Yeah, I think he takes a pretty big tick down. Jordan Howard was waived by the Miami Dolphins. I think this is good news for any Dolphins running back you were trying to start. I don't think a lot of people were starting them at this point, although
Ahmed did decent.
Yeah, Salvon Ahmed was pretty good. I think, he's worth a waiver pickup. We can kind of chat about that in a few minutes. But, Jordan Howard landing somewhere else, I think, is going to be the bigger news, right? I do think that he will probably land on a team somewhere, and it's going to affect whatever running back is on that team, because Jordan Howard is just a goal line guy. It's just what he does. So just pay attention to that, and we'll let you know.
Yeah.
And then Allen Lazard officially taken off IR.
Yeah, he shouted us out on Twitter. He posted an emoji of a lizard and a clock. So thank you for that.
Seems legit to me. Anyways, MVS having back-to-back really good weeks. I think a lot of people are going to buy into the MVS hype and put in a large waiver claim for him. I would not.
Yeah, I
go
think
see if
that's
Allen
a trap.
Lazard is available and go put in a smaller waiver claim on Allen Lazard, and I think you're going to get more out of it. I think Lazard is a better wide receiver.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it, bud.
Oh, okay. First news no one cares about. So Antonio Brown threw a bicycle at a security camera in his neighborhood.
What?
Next thing, Cooper Kupp. Did you see the cleats he showed up with? He had.
I was at work.
Oh, so Cooper Kupp.
If we had more subscribers, I wouldn't have to be at work. Just saying. Just saying, guys. All right.
One day. Cooper Kupp showed up with some cleats that were in tribute to Alex Trebek.
Oh, yeah.
They're pretty awesome. Alex Trebek just passed away, so pretty cool that he did that.
It's kind of harsh you put that in news nobody cares about, man.
Well, it's cleats and this a fantasy football podcast, so
cleats matter. Could you imagine if they went out there barefoot?
Antonio Brown was going out there with frostbite on his feet, so
right. And it affected it, right? If he didn't have his cleats, it probably would have been worse. I'm just saying, if they're not wearing cleats, don't start them.
I would agree with that.
Okay, there you go. Point proven.
All right, so how about this one then? Eli Manning tweeted out.
Yes, no, that one's really good.
Stacking wins after the Giants' second win in a row.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I don't care.
Yeah, see? I told you.
No, yeah, you nailed it on that one.
Yeah, Eli Manning, 2 wins in a row, and he's bragging about the Giants, who he no longer plays for.
Now, news I would have cared about. is Eli Manning is still wearing cleats. That would have been interesting.
Yeah, sure. He might try out for the Bears. We'll see.
To get him in there.
All right, and that's all the news no one cares about.
Okay, right on. Well, let's jump into some quick waiver pickups, and then we'll talk about
I
talk about the fantasy playoffs.
Forgot to throw the news no one cares about graphic up there, so it's just the news graphic. That's embarrassing.
That's super embarrassing.
I apologize, everyone. I will not make that mistake again.
Oof, I might
for
be
at
done.
least a week.
I might be out. All right, I think I'll keep going.
All right, let's talk some waivers.
Yeah, real quick here. Ahmed from the Miami Dolphins, running back, did look good out there in replace of Myles Gaskins, who Myles Gaskins has been good. They've been using him like crazy. So if Ahmed is going to see similar workload, I think he's worth a waiver claim for sure this week. Is he your top running back waiver?
So it depends what I'm looking for. If I'm in need of a running back for like short term, like I need to get some wins to make the playoffs, then he probably is, because that's been a solid running back to own, because it seems to be a bell cow, whoever it is. And if Matt Breida misses any more time there, then yeah.
Damien Harris. I was pretty impressed by Damien Harris this week.
Yeah. It's funny because I actually was thinking about talking about this with you. And I mean, we have a whole show, so that's awesome. Damien Harris, usually I'm in the frame that I just don't talk about the mind frame. I don't talk about New England's running backs, but I think that he has shown, like, they've kind of gone to a more traditional running back situation there with him and Rex Burkhead.
Yeah, there is a little bit more clarity now, it appears. I'm not willing to like completely buy into this, but it does appear that Rex Burkhead is the passing down back, Damien Harris is the running down back, and I think both of them are worth a look. I do think that both of their fantasy output is capped, just because neither one of them is getting like both of the work. Does that make sense, right? So, which one would you rather own, Damien Harris or Rex Burkhead? Assuming, let's say, they're both RB2 to RB3 going forward.
So I think that Damien Harris is the more the one that's more stable. Burkhead's going to have games where he puts up big amounts of points, so I would rather go with Damien Harris, because he's going to be more that guy that gets you points every week.
And I mean, I think for me it's very, very close, almost a toss-up, but I think I would go Rex Burkhead just because I think the ceiling's higher, and I think I want a higher ceiling in my third running back. But that's all just kind of the style that you like to play. That's all that breaks down to. Another guy that apparently has a very high ceiling, Nahim Heinz. I keep saying I'm not into it, and he keeps proving that I should be into it. And I'm going to continue to say I don't want Nahim Heinz. He would be third right now if in the order of waivers that we'd put in fourth if you include Rex Burkhead for me. How do you feel about Nahim Heinz?
I agree completely with you on the placement of him. I do like him just because, like I said, I think he has a defined role there, which in PPR has even more value. And I think that, I would like to have him on my team. I think that he has value. Yeah. And okay, as we'll get into later, I think that they have some pretty good matchups in the playoffs.
Okay. Any other running backs you want to talk about?
Kalen Bellage.
Mm-hmm.
He's still there. I mean, they're, as long as Justin Jackson is out, then, and obviously
Joshua Kelly looks terrible.
Yeah, and Bellage is outperforming him. So
yeah, Kalen Bellage is definitely worth a stash. I'm not ready to start Kalen Bellage, but I would like Kalen Bellage on my team. Just as an example, I will be putting in for Kalen Bellage in our league this week, dropping CeeDee Lamb. I feel like there's no reason to own CeeDee Lamb. Kalen Bellage at least has an opportunity to become a starting running back until Austin Eckler's back. Although Austin Eckler could be back, not this week, but I think next week.
Yeah. He should be. He's been posting videos of himself running full speed and making cuts. So, yeah, I think he will be back next week.
Okay. Wide receivers, Justin. Did you have any wide receivers that you wanted to point out?
Yeah, but real quick, something that we don't normally talk about, but I wanted to bring up, because obviously we're telling you guys who you should go pick up. On the other side of that coin, there's definitely some players that I think you should drop. One of them, I think, Jerick McKinnon. He's about to lose his role there. Mostert should be back, which that's going to destroy his role. So, him and Le'Veon Bell are way too owned, their percentage.
Yeah. Justin just wanted to talk about the 49ers, but I'll keep it going here.
I told you to drop them.
You just wanted to talk about it. I'll keep it going, though. Deebo Samuel, he's rostered in like 56% of leagues right now. You need to go check if he's available. If Deebo Samuels is available, I would go grab him.
Yeah, they are on a bye this week, so I think that if he's available as well, you probably don't need to put in a high waiver, like a high bid on him if you do fab, just because most people probably aren't going to grab him on his bye week. So
right, Deebo Samuel has a very good playoff schedule though, so it doesn't really matter that he's on a bye this week. You're picking him up for the future.
Yep.
Let's see. Michael Pittman Jr. zoned in only 5% of leagues right now.
Yeah, I own him in several leagues.
Yeah, you might be the 5%.
Yeah, I think I am.
Definitely somebody to consider. I think that he's kind of emerging as the number one wide receiver on that team. He had 8 targets. He had 101 yards last week. And then he had one rushing attempt for 21 yards. I mean, it's nothing incredible, right? But if he had found the end zone, I think he'd be the top waiver priority of the week.
Yeah.
So Michael Pittman Jr. needs to be owned. Anybody else that you can think of? Maybe Jalen Rhaegar?
Yeah, Jalen Rhaegar's another one, but also Jacoby Myers. If you're going to own a receiver in New England, that's the guy. I mean, apparently he throws touchdowns too.
Apparently. Yeah, that was crazy. 7 targets, 5 catches, 59 yards for Jacoby Myers in week 10. Jalen Rhaegar had 7 targets, 4 for 47. I think that just continues to go up for him. He has a decent and fantasy schedule as well.
That instantly throws him as the number 2 receiver there in Philadelphia, and I completely agree. I expect that to continue to increase by the end of the season. I think he'll be the number 1 wide receiver there.
I agree with that. And then we already talked about Allen Lazard. We talked about Cole Beasley. Yeah. Definitely somebody that you should consider going and picking up. I like Cole Beasley a lot.
Yeah, every week that John Brown has missed, the Beasles has shown up.
Right. A lot of people are talking about Sami Watkins right now. He has not played since week 5. I'm not willing to go out and grab Sami Watkins. I think we've named too many wide receivers that I would rather own at the moment.
Yeah, and that being said, one of the weeks during the playoffs, he will probably win someone a game.
Mm-hmm. 2 names that I want to bring up real quick in the running backs section that I just didn't mention because they're owned in over 60% of leagues, but that is J.D. McKissic. If he's available in your league, please, he's your top pickup of the week, flat out.
Yeah.
And then Wayne Gallman is only owned in 55% of leagues, and Wayne Gallman is the guy.
I'm so happy you brought up Wayne Gallman, which I don't think anyone has ever said in the last couple years, because I had made a mental note that I wanted to talk about Wayne Gallman and then forgot to write it down, because watching him play, he looked really good.
He did.
He was running aggressive. He was breaking tackles. He had good vision. I was super impressed with how he was playing. I really like the Wayne Gallman.
Right on. I don't have any tight ends to talk about this week. The tight end position is as bad as it's ever been. So,
yes.
I saw a stat. I can't remember who it was from, but the tight end 2 this week, I think.
Oh, yeah. So
did you see this?
I don't know if I saw that
Darren Waller, right, was the
Uh-huh.
tight end 2, or is the tight end 2, and he would be like the wide receiver 30.
Yeah, so I saw a list of wide receivers that outscored the top scoring tight end, and
Yeah.
it was ridiculous who those wide receivers were.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Travis Kelce was on bye week, who is really the only only tight end where you're like have to have or have to start.
Yeah,
Every other tight end.
Yeah, and George Kittle obviously injured.
Right. Yeah, there he goes again, talking about the 49ers.
I mean, we're talking top. I mean, those are the 2 tight ends where it's like you need to put those guys in if they're
He's gone,
playing.
Justin. All right. We're not talking about him anymore. All right. Anybody else? Any other waiver priorities you want to talk about?
No.
No? Cool. You already talked about some playoff schedules?
I am.
Right on. Okay, we'll start with some quarterbacks here. I mean, I'll let you start. You have some guys that at the top of your list here?
Yes. Hold on. I'm scrolling to them.
Scroll away.
Oh, Joe Burrow is a great one. I know he's owned in a lot of leagues, but he has a great playoff matchup, and I mean,
he does have to play Pittsburgh week 15. That doesn't scare you away?
I mean, yeah, but it doesn't. It scares me. It doesn't scare me away because I mean the amount of times he throws the ball is the positives for him. So, he just has. He also plays Dallas in that time, which I am not scared of Dallas's defense.
Yeah. Joe Burrow's schedule is Dallas, Pittsburgh, Houston, if anybody is wondering.
Yeah, so outside of the Pittsburgh game, those are some awesome matchups.
Yeah. I wanted to bring up Lamar Jackson, and I know this feels obvious, right? It's Lamar Jackson, but let's keep in mind Lamar Jackson is barely a top 12 quarterback this season. So he is very gettable in a trade. And if you can make the trade happen, obviously don't give up too much value for a quarterback. But Lamar Jackson has Cleveland, Jacksonville, and then the New York Giants for his playoff schedule. So something definitely to consider. I would be excited if I had that schedule out of Lamar Jackson for my fantasy playoffs.
Yeah, and like you said, he's been disappointing owners, so there's like a good chance that you could trade for him in several leagues. He does still have that name value, so you will have to pay some for him.
Right. I've got another one ready unless you've got one.
Yeah, go for it.
I was going to bring up Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is playing New Orleans, Arizona, and Dallas for the fantasy playoffs, and his wide receivers are starting to get healthy. His tight ends are starting to get healthy. This could be a pretty good scenario here for Carson Wentz, who is probably not owned right now.
Yeah, and I do like that one. Like you said, with those wide receivers, we were just talking about Jalen Rhaegar getting better through the, so I like that. I got one though. Like if you're going to be streaming quarterbacks, hear me out on this one.
No, wait, can I guess?
Yeah.
Alex Smith?
No.
Okay.
Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers, yeah.
So he plays the Raiders the first week of fantasy playoffs, and then followed by the Texans, and that's where it ends for me. I'm not starting him in the championship against the Steelers.
Don't do.
Yeah, but if you want, he could get you to that championship, at which point you could stream a different quarterback.
Yeah. I've got two more.
All right, let's do it.
One's kind of going to be hard to get a hold of, but if he is available, Tom Brady has Minnesota, Atlanta, Detroit.
Yeah, I have him on my list as well. Yeah. That was my last one.
And then Alex Smith is my last one. Alex Smith played very well this week in his first start back. A lot of fantasy points. He has San Francisco, Seattle, Carolina. That's kind of a deep stream, right? But if you're in a deep league or a 2-quarterback league, Alex Smith must be owned. Must be owned.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, let's jump into the running backs.
Let's do it.
Okay. Who's at the top of your list?
All right, so this one is not available, but so it's a trade target. And that's Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
I'm
Incredible
obviously
schedule.
Yeah, plays for the Titans, obviously. But he, like you said, he's got probably the best schedule, and he's one of the best running backs that always every year he does his best work at the end of the season.
Right. He only gets stronger as the season goes on.
Yeah, it's like how running backs do in the game. They slowly beat down the defense and they like get stronger and stronger. He does that through the entire season. It's amazing.
Yeah, just to give you guys some perspective on Derrick Henry's schedule for the playoffs. He plays Jacksonville, who's giving up 24 points per game.
They're 27th against the running back, or 27th worst.
Then Detroit, who's giving up 32 points per game.
Who's 28th worst. Or 28th according to my list.
Oh, well, according to mine, the worst.
Okay.
And then he plays Green Bay, who's second worst at 30 points per game.
Yeah, I have them as the second to worst team. So, I mean, regardless of where you're ranking or which one you're going off of, that's a fantastic schedule.
Right. Okay, the first running backs that I wanted to talk about were the Detroit running backs. Okay, DeAndre Swift in particular, playing Green Bay, Tennessee. Tampa Bay is a little scary, but Tampa Bay is actually giving up 19 points per game to fantasy running backs right now, which isn't, completely terrible. But, you can at least get 2 good weeks out of DeAndre Swift. And then I was going to talk about the San Francisco running back situation. It's kind of hard to figure out what's going on there, but Mostert should be back, right? And should be the guy. And they're playing Washington, Dallas, Arizona.
Yeah, that's a great one. I really like that. Mostert, you could, like, with him not doing anything for such a long time, you could probably make some pretty good trades for him.
Oh, yeah. You could probably give up almost nothing for him.
Yeah. I want to talk about David Montgomery and the Chicago Bears, though.
Okay. Talk about it, man.
Yeah, they're going up against the Texans, who just don't have defense anymore, the Vikings, and then the Jaguars. Another good trio of teams to get you through those fantasy playoffs.
I wanted to mention 2 teams to avoid, or if you can avoid them in the fantasy playoffs for running backs. That's Arizona running backs, Kenyon Drake, Chase Edmonds. They have the Giants in week 14, which is fine, which is great. But then they play Philadelphia, who is very good against the running back, and San Francisco. So if you've been relying on them, that's pretty rough. And then the Buffalo running back, Zach
minus
Moss.
the San Francisco part, obviously.
What do you mean?
San Francisco's not a great defense.
They're pretty good against the running backs. They're number 1 against for fantasy points against running backs.
Yeah, but they've steadily been getting worse. I'm just saying it's not the most feared.
Mm-hmm. And then the Buffalo running back, Zach Moss, Devin Singletary. I know a lot of people are starting to rely a little bit on Zach Moss. They have Pittsburgh, Denver, New England for the fantasy playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to trying to start either of them in the fantasy playoffs.
I also really like Miles Sanders just coming back from an injury. The Eagles have a great matchup, or great set of matchups going through the playoffs as well. And an honorable mention, but this one scares me, that's why I didn't put it on the list, is Jonathan Taylor and the Colts. They have great matchups, but just the situation at running back there, I'm not super confident in.
And I will not be starting them week 16 against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Okay, wide receivers. And Justin, you were surprised to find this out, but a lot of teams that are good against quarterbacks aren't necessarily good against wide receivers.
Yeah, yeah, which just seems counterintuitive, but
Intuitive.
yeah, I emphasize random syllables.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you? I actually text Perry with exactly with
You
some
did.
extra e's.
No, you didn't just text me exactly. You corrected yourself to exactly.
That's true.
First team wide receivers I wanted to highlight were the Buffalo wide receivers. I don't want to play them. I don't want to play their running backs, but I want to play their wide receivers. Is Pittsburgh is 24th against wide receivers. Denver is 25th, and then New England is 13th. So New England's not, a super great matchup, but I'm not all that scared of New England if you've got Diggs, Brown, and Beasley out there.
Yeah, yeah, man, Beasley, I'm telling you.
You got a case, man?
Yeah, I do. It's scary.
You got a case?
Got a case of the Beasles.
Uh, Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was going to bring up the Cincinnati Bengals.
You beat me to it. This one's the best one.
Yeah, I mean, you got T. Higgins there, who's just this dude has been a stud all season. And
Green's still out though, right? We're still not starting AJ Green.
yeah, I'm still not starting AJ Green.
Good.
Tyler Boyd and AJ Green is there. He will be on the field, but I'm not starting him. But
right.
yeah, they have a great match. Or I mean, I already mentioned them as the quarterback.
I would start. I think I would be willing to start Tyler Boyd in a few situations during the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean he's been decent, and with the great matchups, I think he's startable. And then also, I mean T. Higgins. I mean, he's been amazing. I don't know if I mentioned that.
Amazing.
Yeah, since week 3, he's been a wide receiver 1, week 3 on.
Tampa Bay. I get it, right? It's Mike Evans and it's Chris Godwin and it's Antonio Brown, but you could probably get your hands on like Antonio Brown right now, who's getting more and more involved. And for the fantasy playoffs, they have Minnesota, Atlanta, Detroit, which could be really good, like really good, league winner good, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's really funny when you look at the Washington football team. The only wide receiver listed is Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, that's the only one you need to worry about.
Yeah, San Francisco, Seattle, Carolina. Start him. Doesn't matter. You were starting him anyways.
Right. Speaking of your starting him anyway, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. I'm starting both of them.
I just talked about them.
Oh, shoot. Sorry, I read the wrong part of my thing. The Kansas City Chiefs, Tyreek Hill, I'm starting. I'm still not in on Mecole Hardman and Sammy Watkins, though.
Especially with Sammy Watkins coming back.
Yeah, it's just going to become more like which one of these guys is going to, or are either of them going to show up?
Somebody you guys could go out and try and target. Robert had a really bad week this week.
You cut out there for a second. You said Robert Woods?
Robert Woods, yeah. Sorry, guys. My power might go out. Robert Woods played very, very poorly this last week. Go out and target him in a trade. He's got New England, he's got the Jets, and then he's got Seattle in the championship. And if you make it to the championship and you get to play Robert Woods against Seattle, that could be very good. I know that he just did poorly against Seattle this week. I am fully aware. I don't think it was because of Seattle.
Yeah, yeah.
Just to be clear.
I did want to bring up 2 other guys real quick I have as my honorable mentions, which is Michael Pittman and Hollywood Brown, which both have great matchups. We talked about who their quarterbacks are going against, so obviously you already know they have great matchups. And we talked about Pittman in our, talking about waiver wires. So, he's been performing. He has great matchups going into the playoffs, even more so why you should pick him up on the waiver wire.
Right.
And Hollywood is probably owned. He's been disappointing this season, but with his matchup schedule, I think I'm willing to roll him out in the playoffs.
Do you have any tight ends that you want to talk about? Because I don't.
I don't know. I'm Travis Kelce.
Yeah. Go start Travis Kelce. Go trade for Travis Kelce.
Yeah, no one's giving him up.
Travis Kelce, they're really bad at fantasy football.
Yeah, you're not going to get him, but if somehow you can, do it.
I want to talk about some DSTs.
Yeah.
The Arizona DST is not great, but they do get the Giants, they get Philadelphia, and they get San Francisco for the fantasy playoffs. Cleveland gets Baltimore, who doesn't put up a ton of points. They get the Giants and they get the Jets. Buffalo gets Pittsburgh, Denver, and New England. Not bad.
Yeah.
And then I had one more in here. Thought I had one more. The Los Angeles Rams, who I think is a much better defense than what we've been giving them credit for, considering what they did to Seattle this last week.
Yeah.
But they get New England, the Jets, and then they get Seattle. If you're not comfortable with them against Seattle, you could stream somebody else.
I will say the Rams historically always do very well against Seattle.
Right. Yeah, and if you went the Rams for the first 2 weeks and then went and picked up Cleveland against the Jets for the fantasy championship, that could be a recipe for a championship win.
Yeah, and another idea is you could try to stream whoever is playing the Jets.
Yeah. Whoever's playing the Jets for the entire fantasy playoffs.
Or the entire season if possible. But
that would be Seattle.
Yeah.
That's a risk, playing Seattle's defense.
I'm fine with playing their defense against the Jets, though.
And then it's the Rams, and then it's Cleveland. So Seattle, Rams, Cleveland.
And Seattle, I guarantee you Seattle's not owned.
Yeah. Rams defense might be owned after this last week, man. They looked very good against Seattle. And then Cleveland, kind of middle of the pack.
Yeah, middle of the pack. Someone might own them, but they're probably available.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
all right, man. Anything else you want to cover?
I'm just excited. Like we did, this kind of new thing, and we still managed to do it in a reasonable amount of time. So.
Yeah. I mean, have we talked for an hour?
No, we're at 45 minutes.
Dude, easy.
Yeah.
I get to relax now.
Yeah, that's 15 extra minutes where now I can go look at random news or sports news articles to find news no one cares about next week.
Well, that sounds like you have a very full evening. So
yeah.
I'll let you get to it. Thanks, everybody, for listening if you listened this far.
Yeah.
And please comment and subscribe so you can possibly win a free jersey. I mean, it's just such a good deal.
Right. See you guys next episode.